Hey everyone.
Hello.
I am Jovi Marie, and we're here with Living with Through the Lens with founder Delores King. And Delores is going to have a topic, but right now we are going to talk about, and we're going to do a little bit of the disclaimer. This live is based on personal experience. We are not medical professionals, and the content shared is not medical advice. Please talk to your doctor for any medical concerns. Also, remember if this does trigger you for whatever reason, step away. Your mental health is first and main key here. So, Dolores, the floor is all yours. And I know we're going to be talking about a little bit, and you were talking about this, which I was really the topic about tonight is going to be about genetic testing. So the genetic testing, Dolores is saying it identifies the changes in the person's genes, chromosomes, and protein, detects the inherited conditions, determine cancer risk, or to guide treatments, or to do any lifestyle change, basically. Um,
Okay.
but Dolores is going to go more in detail about it. So go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Did you know, despite the risk of white women, black women are more or less likely to be referred or recommended for genetic testing by our providers? Hey, everybody. This is Delores. I'm with Living Through the Lens. Today's subject is a very important subject. When we talk about disparities with black women in healthcare, this is just another sample of that. So today I want to just take the time to talk to you about genetic testing. Um, Maybe some of us know what it is, some of us don't, and most of us that do, it's trying to understand it. It's a lot. But first, let me give you my story on genetic testing. Again, I was diagnosed in 2014. I was attending the University of uh, what is the UIC? What is that? University, no, U of I, University of Illinois. I was doing some of my treatments there. I had my surgery there, and I did my chemo there. I was never recommended or referred to genetic testing from my provider. One of my nurses, one of the counselors, she was there and she was talking to, a couple of women there that was going through the same thing, treatments. And she had made mention to us about genetic testing and how important it is that we have it. At the time, I had no idea what she was referring to. So, anyway, at the time, I'm a veteran. So, at the time, I was still going back and forth from the VA, going over to U of I. I went over and I talked to my primary doctor at the Veterans Administration. First of all, I had to pull teeth. I talked to my primary and say, hey, I want to do the genetic testing. And I really wanted to do the genetic testing because I had eight sisters, and I have a daughter. And most of my um other sisters and brothers' children are females. So it's a lot of females in my family. And I wanted to make sure that we did the testing. Again, just remember this, at the time I did the testing, I didn't understand what the testing was about. I just understood that I have a daughter and I need to get tested for her. I wanted to get tested for my sisters because there's so many of us. In any case, once I finally convinced my primary to put me in for testing, what we have to remember, even though you might find someone that refers you or recommend you for genetic testing, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So once I went in to get the testing, first you have to go through counseling. So I went through the counseling and they talked to me about genetic testing, and then they did a blood test, and you had to wait a couple of weeks for the results to come back. what I found with that, one of my counselors talked to me and said, okay, so if your genetic testing come back and says that you're positive, how would you feel? Of course you feel anxiety, you're scared, there's fear, I mean, depression, the whole nine. But then she said, well, if it come back negative, how would you feel? That never even crossed my mind. And so I had to think about that. And I still can't, until I read this information, I couldn't tell you what that thought process would be. I didn't know how I would feel because that was very personal and emotional at the same time. So, enough of my story. What I want to talk to you now, I want to tell you a little bit about what genetic testing is. Like I said before, in genetic testing is important. Some of us don't understand it, and we may have our own meaning of what we think it is, how we interpret the information we read. So I'm going to give you what I've read and let you put a title on it or whatever that title may be. So it says, what is genetic testing? Genetic testing is a medical test that looks at your DNA, that's your genetic code, to see if there's any changes, mutations. Your changes is mutations in certain genes that increase your risk for cancer, including breast cancer. There are inherited changes in genes that can cause cancer, including breast cancer. Genetic testing is a medical test that looks at your DNA, that's your genetic code,
Dolores, Dolores, Dolores. Your volume, it's not coming through. So give us a minute, everyone. We are having some technical difficulties. We can't hear you. Yeah, go out. So give us a minute. We're going to have Dolores on in a few minutes. So I do apologize. I know we're having some um, technical difficulties right now. But yeah, we were talking about the genetic testing itself and how important it is, especially for lifestyle change.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
You can hear me now. Good. Hold on.
Thank you, everyone. So Dolores King is back, and she's going to continue with the topic.
Mhm.
So when some of the technical difficulties do come in, this is what happens sometimes. But we are back.
Okay, guys. I apologize for that. I forgot to put, or I thought I put my phone on silent. But in any case, I do apologize for that interruption. So let me just continue on with the subject at hand. And again, we're talking about genetic testing. Now, we talked about what genetic testing is
Hmm.
and why it's important.
No,
But
exactly.
now we want to talk about why it's especially important for Black and Brown women. Research shows that Black women with breast cancer carry an inherited mutation at rates similar to white women. But again, remember what I said. Even though our risks are similar, we are less likely to be recommended for genetic testing. Black women are also more likely to develop aggressive breast cancers like triple negative and inflammation. and at a younger age. If you want to look up some of this information, because I cite everything that I'm talking to you about, this is not something that I'm saying. So I'm on the Susan G. Komen. If you want, uh, Ju- Joey, if you can put that in, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, and there's also the Research Foundation. Okay, just in case somebody wants to look this information up. Also, it's important because knowing your gene status can help doctors tailor your screenings. For example, the earlier you are tested, they can help with the MRIs. It can help with follow-up treatments. So that's important while we get tested. We need to get tested. So we need to start talking to our doctors and caregivers about genetic testing. It's also important because, again, early detection saves lives. So just think of that as the genetic testing. The genetic testing also helps because you want to protect your family. You want to protect your sisters, your daughters, your nieces, your sons, and your brothers. Now, I know some of you saying sons and brothers. Yes, men also carry that mutation, and they can also be diagnosed with breast cancer. Because Black and brown women are more or less likely to be tested, many are at risk, and we're missing out on the benefit of early detection. So we have to be tested, ladies. I hope you guys hear me when I say that. You have to be tested. By talking about it, asking for it, or even demanding it, we can help close that gap that we talk about, that disparity gap that we always talk about. Even when many of Black women qualify for the BRCA testing, we're often we're often not referred by doctors as much as white women is. And I'm going to keep stressing that because you need to hear that. I think the percentage of Black women that's tested, if I'm not mistaken, it said 16%. That's a very low percentage. And for those of us that's getting tested, we should talk to our loved ones. We should talk to families. We should, and especially just talk to everybody in the family and let them know what was found on the test. And think about those questions that I talked to you about earlier.
Right.
If it's positive, how would you feel about that? I'm sure anger going to play a lot, but if it's negative, how would you feel about that? And
Right.
how would you feel knowing you had this test and you carry these mutations, whatever they may be, and you never talk to family members about it? Now you have guilt. We don't need any more power doing to what we're going through. God knows we're going through it now. So make sure you know your test status, especially when it comes to genetic testing. So after you go through, you may have to put your foot down with your doctor and demand whatever. And sometimes we have to do that and it's okay. Just don't be disrespectful with it. And sometimes this is your life we're talking about. But either way, what is the process? Once you get that referral and the doctor say, okay, I'm gonna put you in. Now just remember what I said earlier. They put you in for genetic testing. It's not a guarantee because first you have to go through the counseling. So when you start the counseling, your insurance your insurance kicks in anyway. But once your insurance company gets this information that you're trying to do genetic testing, they can halt it right there and say, oh, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to pay for that. So insurance play a big part in that.
Mm.
Another reason why it may be halted is because sometimes when we approach things that we are not sure about and the unknown, we get fearful. We shut down. And even though you may talk to a counselor, when she get through talking to you about the process, you might say, no, that's okay. but it's not okay.
Right.
So just please, let's take this. This is serious. This is not theoretical. This is serious. And we need to talk about it. Okay. And I'm going to keep saying that because that's how important it is. I know I went through some trauma, but I got it. When I got it, I shared it with my family. Some of them accepted, some didn't. But either way, my job was to help take care of them. Once you give them the information, then that's on them. That's no longer on you. Just remember that. So the first thing you do, you're going to ask your doctor or oncologist team for a genetic testing. They're going to hook you up with a counselor. The counselor is going to talk to you about what to expect. And normally these counselors are should be specially trained in genetics to help you understand the risks and the benefit of these tests. During the session, the counselor will ask you personal information like your family history, or is anybody in your family dealing with cancer? If so, what type of cancer? I know for me, when I went through it, I had to give information on my family and who was dealing with cancer, who wasn't. And they didn't just take my word for it. I had to have them call their doctor and say, hey, can I get a copy of that? And I had to submit it. So it's a process. It's not as easy as going to the doctor and say, hey, I want to do this. So just be aware of that. But
Okay.
whatever you do, please don't stop the process. Let's continue on. They're going to explain the genes that's going to be tested. They're going to tell you what they're testing for, what different genes there are. Commonly, the most common test is the BRCA1 and 2. Okay. And they break that down and tell you about that and, you know, what the test is going to look for and whatnot. Then you have to sign a consent form. You sign a consent form and then they take a sample collection. That sample could either be a saliva test or it could be a blood test. I requested a blood test because I wanted to be sure. Not saying I wasn't sure of my saliva, but I know if I do a blood test, things will come out okay, or the way they should, I should say. When I did my genetic testing, I had to wait like 2 to 6 weeks, I think it is, 2 to 6 weeks for the results. When the results came back, I was relieved because I really didn't understand. When I'm talking to women about breast cancer and genetic testing, most of us feel this is how I felt. Most of us feel like, okay, well, my test came back negative, so it's not in the family. And okay, that may be true to a certain extent. It's not in my immediate family, but that doesn't mean it's not in my grandma's. The thing for me was my mother's mother died when she was born. So we didn't have that history. So me going in thinking, okay, I'm okay because my mom didn't have it. It could have been on my grandmom's side. It could have been her sister. It could have been anybody. Just because it skips a generation, that doesn't mean you're exempt. So you need to know that. I'm going to say that again. Because when you do your testing and your test come back negative, it may have skipped your generation, but because it skipped your generation, that doesn't mean that you're exempt. Okay? So if you're thinking about doing genetic testing, start talking to family members. If there's cancer in the family, ask them if they can go sign a release of information form so they can get that information to you. The sooner you get this done, the better it's going to be. Okay? Also, when we talk about disparities, and I keep bringing this up as well because this is important to me and it should be important to every survivor that's living with this or that at least been through it. When we talk about disparities in healthcare, there are disparities with the insurance. your caregivers. They look at us like our pain tolerance sometimes, especially when you're going through surgery, your pain tolerance, and I know I'm getting off the subject just a bit, but I'm going to come right back around. Our pain tolerance is a lot more, uh, we can deal with pain mostly more than our white counterpart. I don't think that's true. I get a headache and it just knocks me off my feet. So I don't think that's true, but either way, that's how we looked at. Disparities can mean a lot of things. It could be your transportation. You don't have a way to get there. You don't have bus fare. It could be your insurance. And even though you have insurance, your insurance may say, no, we're not going to cover that. It could be your doctor. Uh, that's that's not taking you serious. And I'm going to say that, and I mean that with everything in me. And I know it sounds crazy, but I've been dealing with this a long time. And when you come across a doctor with that bedside manner, then you need to move around. Find you somebody that's going to take care of you the way you deserve to be taken care of. Okay? So it's not about always what the doctor says. Sometimes it's about us. The doctor may not put you in for genetic testing because he doesn't do it. That doesn't mean you don't need it and you shouldn't ask for it. Most of us don't ask for genetic testing because we don't know anything about it. We don't know we have that right to say, hey, can I do genetic testing? And you'll be surprised. Most of our insurance may cover it, but we don't know that because we don't ask the question. Okay? So we have to start speaking up. This is another part of survivorship. Survivorship is hard. Survivorship is tough. Getting up in the morning, making decisions. Not only with this genetic testing, not only are you making decisions for yourself, you're making it for your daughters, your sisters, your nieces, and again, your nephews, brothers. So please, guys, let's just get on this. Try to follow through. That's another thing I found. Even if, okay, say you go in and say, hey, I want my get genetic tested. And the doctor says, okay, and he puts you in. He give you that counselor. That counselor says something to you that just does not rub you the right way. Most of us don't like confrontation, so we just bag down. And then it's like, well, I didn't go back because I didn't like the way she talked to me, or I didn't like the way he talked to me. Sometimes we have to put that aside to get what we need. I learned that going through my journey. Sometimes there's a time and place for some things, but when it comes to your health, when it comes to dealing with breast cancer, you don't have time for that. When you're looking after your daughter or your sister or your whoever that's in that family, just remember that, guys. That this is so, so, so important. We have to do this genetic testing. This is part of the disparities that we talk about. I had a couple of questions that I wanted to talk to you guys about as well. I wanted to ask anyway. I think I covered them, but I'm not sure. But we're going to go over it again because it's important.
Mhm.
What happens if your genetic testing doesn't come out the way you thought it would? How would you feel? Guys, if you have been through genetic testing and you know what I'm talking about, drop a comment, send a star, send a thumbs up, send something so we'll know
Right.
we're not the only ones out here that's living with this. We're not the only ones out here that's not afraid to say, hey, I need to do this. I need to do this for my family. I need to do this. And I know sometimes family don't get along. That's in all of our families. But when it comes time to do what you need to do for your family, put your big girl pants on and say, hey, I'm going to do this. You give them the information, they can accept it or not accept it. But once you do that, you did what you can do to help them. Because
Right.
when they go to the doctor, and the doctor is going to ask them, has anybody in your family, this is what happened to my daughter, has anybody in your family been diagnosed with breast cancer? Yeah, my mom has. So for me, I was fortunate because the same person that did my genetic testing was able to talk to my daughter. And
Mm,
when things were said and done, my daughter opted to do her genetic testing as well.
okay.
And they say sometimes when one person in the family do genetic testing, then, you know, your sisters, your brothers, you don't want them to go through that. But if they opt to do it, let them do it. It couldn't do anything but help.
Right.
Joey,
So
did you
you
have a
got
question?
one thumbs up and two hearts.
Okay.
So
So somebody out there is hearing what we say about generic testing
yeah,
because
and it is
for
important
it's
for the.
very important.
It's very
It,
important.
Judy, explain to me. Okay, I know we talked yesterday and you read some stuff as well.
Hmm.
Give me a little bit of what you read and let's compare. What have you read
So
about genetic testing?
the only thing that I'm getting on is just the definition of it, and how important it is for each person's DNA. So at least if you know if there's any mutations in your
Mm-hmm,
body,
mm-hmm.
and so it gets detected right away, and not maybe even right away. It's just you have that security, or at least you can start doing a lifestyle change
Right.
when you do these genetic testings. And it's good whenever you're doing any DNA testing too, or genetic testing. It's really important because you get to see the inside of your body, and you're going to be able to at least minister to yourself to see what's going to be a good fit for you, and what's going to help you for your future, basically, and for the right now too.
Can I interject for 1 minute? You brought up a good point.
Hmm.
And that point is when you do the genetic testing, it helps the doctors with your plan. They are now able to plan. They can start to plan to where, and especially for your sisters, daughters, whoever, they can start a plan. Once they go in and say, hey, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, okay. And because I've been diagnosed with breast cancer, my daughter started getting her mammograms at age 25.
Okay.
You know, I was at an event on Saturday for breast cancer, and one of the young women spoke about she had someone in her breast cancer group, I believe, at
Hmm.
16.
Oh wow, young.
16, guys. So they're getting younger and younger. And when you have that in the family, that 16, maybe even the 19, maybe even the 20-year-old are
Right.
not able to advocate for themselves. So the parent, the guardian, whoever that is, you're going to have to go in there and fight. You're going to
Right.
have to go in there and fight. So you need to be armed with information. You can't fight if you don't arm yourself with the information you need.
Exactly.
So that's important. The genetic testing, it really lets them know how your care plan, what medications you can take. So you get a bird's eye view of what your planning is going to be like. The
Yeah.
scariest part is when you go into the doctor and they diagnose you with breast cancer, and then you really don't you're really not settled. I know for me, I wasn't settled. I had to wait on the staging process.
Hmm.
That was horrific. The staging process was horrific for me.
Wow. Hmm.
Once they staged me and told me where I were with my cancer, then I have to wait for the test to come back, the genetic test.
Hmm.
That's horrific.
Well,
Anytime you're going through something with breast cancer, it can be more than you bargained for. And some of us get in there and we want to get our tests done and we want to do this and we're trying to push the process because we feel like when we get out, we're going to get back to our old self. No, no. What is your old self? What is normal? Because now you have a new normal.
Right.
There's a new normal. So, guys, if we can avoid all of this and this conversation as a whole, and all we have to do is go in and say, hey, I want to get tested. I mean, they're going to either say yeah or no. And if they say no, then you go find somebody that will. Don't take that as the final no. This
So
is
there's
your journey you're on. This
exactly
is your decision. They work for you. You don't work for them. They work for you.
right.
So you be the captain of that boat and say, hey, this is what I want. And if they can't provide you with what you want or need, then you need to find somebody that can. I'm sorry, Julie. Go ahead.
No, no, it's good. No, that's good information. And it's true. You have to have that balance where it's going to be like, okay, I want this done. This is what I'm looking for because my body, this is how my body feels. I know
Hmm.
how my body feels. This doesn't feel right, you know?
Yes.
So you have to
Yes.
always advocate for the way you feel, your body, and your overall health because that's the main key, you know?
That is the main key. And another thing genetic testing does, it helps you to be more vocal, more to advocate because you didn't went through the genetic testing.
There you go.
Hopefully your doctor didn't talk to you about your plan. You know. And if you don't know, we got so much technology out here, guys. Don't go
Right.
into the doctor's office and the doctor is telling you about you. Nobody knows you better than you.
Yeah,
If you feel something, say something. If you want the genetic testing, ask for it. And if they
exactly.
can't provide it, find somebody that can. If your insurance don't provide it, there's a lot of support groups, there's resources out here that can help us do this stuff. But we
Exactly.
have to dig. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy because it's not. Anything worth having is worth working for, and especially when it comes to your health. Julie, did you have
Absolutely.
any other thing you wanted to say today?
No, that's exactly what I agree with you. Your body, you know your body more than anything. And
Mm-hmm.
when you know your body, you can always tell the doctors, this is what I feel. You have
Yes.
to tell them. You can't pretend, oh no, I'm strong. I'm going to do this. Nah, if
Yeah.
something's off, you better, vocal it
Yeah.
because they'll be able to detect it and pinpoint it to the T. So that's the main key. And especially genetic testing nowadays, there's different types of genetic testings that they
Yes,
do
it is. Yes. But
because
the
I know
most
I got
common
one.
ones,
Yeah.
yeah, most common is the BRCA1 and 2. But there are different types of tests out here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, and some of us may not require the BRCA1 and 2. We may require something else, but we don't know that if we don't go check it out.
There you
Just
go.
go check it out. See what they say. If you like what they're talking about, hey, go with it. Even
Right?
if you don't like what they're talking about, it's saving lives. Just
Yes.
hang in there. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. I know when I was diagnosed, man, I would go to groups, man. I would go to groups and I would just cry, cry, cry. I went to one of my galas and I cried so hard. One of the
Mm,
girls came up to me, one of my sisters, and she put her arms around me and said, you know something? It's going to get better. And I'm saying, how?
right.
And here I am today, 11-year breast cancer survivor. I still have my trauma. I still get tested. I still get my treatment, but I'm in a better place. I'm in a better place. And when
Right.
I tell you there is life after cancer, I'm living proof it's life after cancer. But I had to take these steps to get here. It just didn't come to me. I had
Right.
to make smart decisions. I had to make hard decisions, whether I liked it or not,
Right.
because I remember, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to let you guys go. But my last comment, I remember when I went in for, they did my, what is that thing called? The biopsy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, once they did the biopsy and they showed me the mammogram, it looked like somebody had took white powder and just threw it up in the air and it just landed all over my breast.
Oh, wow.
So when I went to talk to my doctor and I said, "Hey, doc, do I really have to have the whole breast removed? Can I just have the uh, lumpectomy?" That's where they take the tumor out and leave your breast. My doctor looked me dead in my face and said, "Miss King, if you want to live, we're going to have to take it." So what do
Hmm.
you say to that?
Right.
What do you say to that? And after I saw the mammogram, I kind of agreed. I mean, it just looked like somebody threw powder up in there and it just landed all over me.
Wow.
And this was on the mammogram. So I
Hmm.
had the breast removed. So we have to make decisions. That was the hardest decision I ever had to make in my life.
Right.
But I had to make it because I probably wouldn't be here talking to you guys today to even tell you about genetic testing or anything else.
Hmm.
So genetic testing is very, very, very important. And
Yes, it.
before I get off, I want to say again, everything I talked about, this, especially this subject today, I've researched it. It wasn't something I just pulled out of a hat and said, okay, we're going to do this. I researched it because I have my story and I know what I went through to get tested. And it's not an easy feat.
Right.
Again, I want you guys to know I am not a medical professional, nor am I a genetic counselor. I'm talking to you guys from my experience, what I experienced as an 11-year survivor.
Right.
Okay. But in closing, I hope you guys got something from this. I hope I made it a little less more, I mean, a little more, I'm talking about a little less, a little more understanding to where you can kind of grasp. I didn't go deep into it because that's not my field, but I wanted to give you a bird's eye view of what to expect, how you should advocate, why it's important that you do this for your family and the people that you care about.
Right.
Because believe it or not, you may not want to do the testing, but somebody's looking at you. They're depending on you. And you can't let them down, especially your loved ones. They're depending on you.
Right.
So all I want to say is please, please, please get tested. Please get tested and talk to your family members about what the results were. Let them know they should go get tested. Or if they don't want to get tested, at least go in and see their doctor and say, hey, my auntie, my sister, my whomever is dealing with breast cancer. Okay? So
Okay.
if nobody have anything for me, oh, I do want to say one more thing.
Hmm.
For the people out in the audience that's listening to me, thank you guys, first of all, for tuning in on a Wednesday, because I know this was supposed to be a Thursday, but it's going to be Wednesdays from this point on because I have obligations. I have to meet on Thursday. So it was clashing with what I had to do, first of all. And second of all, if you guys have a topic or you heard something or something didn't sit right with you or and you wanted to discuss it, let us know what that is. I'm
Right.
open. This is an open book here. We're just talking about our experiences. Just tell us what you got. If I have to research it, I'll research it and give you my best or whatever that is. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in with me today. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Same time, same channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.